I want to show you a change that happened this year, quietly. Almost no headlines, and yet it may be the most important shift in how AI reaches you, because it changes who decides what you're allowed to use. And when, for the entire history of this industry, one thing was true. A company built a model. A company shipped it. Nobody in Washington signed off first. That is no longer true. In June of this year, OpenAI released a new model, GPT-5.6, 3 versions, Solanta, Terra, Luna. And for the first time, the release came with a condition attached, limited, restricted, at the request of the US government, not OpenAI's choice alone anymore. Washington's, stay with me, because at the halfway point, I'm going to show you the specific reason the government gave, and why it isn't the reason you'd expect. Let me explain how this actually works, because you can't understand what changed until you understand what came before. For years, AI companies operated on a simple rule: build it, test it internally, ship it. The company decided when a model was safe enough. Nobody outside the company had a formal say. That's the arrangement that let this industry move as fast as it has. No permission needed, no waiting on a government office. Speed was the whole advantage. This year, that arrangement started to crack. OpenAI wasn't the only one. Weeks earlier, Anthropic hit the exact same wall. 2 of its models, Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5, launched in June. Within days, Anthropic suspended access to both, not by choice, because of US Department of Commerce export controls. The government stepped in and said not yet. It took until the end of that month for those controls to lift. Access came back July 1st. 2 of the industry's biggest labs. Same month, same story. A government office deciding after the fact whether the public gets to use what these companies already built. Here's the specific reason from OpenAI's case. Because it matters more than people realize. The concern wasn't that the model might say something offensive. It wasn't about jobs or bias or the usual headlines. It was cybersecurity. OpenAI said, in its own words, that GPT 5.6 Sol is better at helping people find and fix security vulnerabilities than at carrying out a full attack start to finish. Hey, fine distinction. But the government wanted that distinction verified by someone other than the company itself before letting the public near it. Around 20 companies got early, approved access. Everyone else waited on a review process that, as of this reporting, still has no fully published rulebook. Sit with that. The most advanced model, from the most prominent AI company in the world, held back. Not because it failed a test the public can see, because a government office wanted more time. And there's no public document yet that tells you exactly what enough time means. I want to give you a historical parallel here, because I think this rhymes with something most of you have lived through. In the 1990s, encryption software fell under a similar shadow. The US government classified strong encryption as a munition, literally the same legal category as weapons. Companies that wanted to export software with real encryption needed government approval first. Engineers joked that their code was, on paper, more restricted than a rifle. That fight took years to resolve. Eventually, the rules loosened. Encryption became standard in every browser, every app, without anyone thinking twice about it. But here's the part people forget. During those years, the companies that shipped fastest weren't always the ones with the best technology. They were the ones who navigated the approval process best. A skill that had nothing to do with writing better code. That's the pattern I think you're watching begin again. Not with encryption this time. With the models themselves. Let me be honest with you here because I don't want to oversell this. This is not government control of AI. Not yet. It's a narrow, specific review tied mostly to cybersecurity capability in a small number of frontier models. Most AI tools you use every day, from chatbots to coding assistants, aren't touched by this at all, and there's a real counter-argument worth hearing. Some in the industry say this kind of review done carefully catches real risks before they reach millions of users. That's not an unreasonable position. A cybersecurity capability that can find vulnerabilities faster than defenders can patch them is a genuinely different category of risk than a chatbot giving a bad recipe. What I can tell you, narrowly and factually, is this. 2 of the industry's most important companies, in the same month, had a launch interrupted by a government body outside their own walls. That had never happened at this scale before. And there's no fully public rulebook yet for what triggers it, or what clears it. So why does this matter to you if you'll never build or ship an AI model yourself? Because the pace at which new capability reaches your workplace, your tools, your own hands, is no longer set purely by how fast these companies can build. It's now partly set by how fast a government review clears. That's a new variable in a system that used to have only one speed, however fast the lab wanted to go. If you've been assuming the next major model just shows up the day the company decides, that assumption needs an update. Let me bring this to your own kitchen table, because that's what this is really about. You don't need to track export control law. What's worth doing is simpler. Next time a major model launch gets delayed or restricted, don't assume it's a marketing stunt or a bug. Look for the actual reason given. In OpenAI's case this year, it was published in plain language by Axios within days. That kind of source, not a summary video, tells you what's actually happening. And if this changes how you think about which AI tools you rely on for serious work, decide that deliberately based on what you've actually read, not because a video told you to worry this week. So let me close the loop I opened. For the history of this industry, companies alone decided when a model was ready. This year, quietly, that changed. OpenAI's newest model shipped restricted, at the government's request over cybersecurity concerns still being reviewed. Weeks earlier, Anthropic hit the same wall with two of its own models. Access was suspended, then restored, by the same kind of government process. I can't tell you exactly where this settles. Neither can anyone in either company. But I can tell you the pattern from the 1990s, when encryption faced the same kind of gate, took years to resolve, and rewarded the companies that learned to navigate the process, not just the ones with the best code. If this showed you a shift in how AI reaches you that you hadn't heard about in plain terms before, share it with someone who assumes these releases just happen on the company's own timeline. And I want to hear from you. Has your own workplace already run into a tool that got delayed, limited, or pulled back for reasons nobody explained clearly? Write it below. I read every comment. I'll see you in the next one.